Hi, I'm Cheryl. We're gonna make this card with this gold foil dragonfly, and it's been stamped with Stazon ink before I die cut it. So let me take a moment. I want to talk to you about Stazon ink. Stazon ink is like the stickiest stuff on the planet. You can stamp just about anything and it's not going to come off. You can stamp on plastic. You could probably stamp your car with butterflies and flowers with it and it would stay on it. When you buy Stazon ink, make sure that you buy the Stazon cleaner. And I can't emphasize that enough. You've got to have the cleaner. When you stamp with it, immediately clean your stamps afterwards. And I don't mean like go have a coffee break and then come back and clean them immediately. I mean like as soon as you've stamped, clean it off your stamp. I think I read or heard somewhere that it's not very good for polymer stamps. So what I do, if I'm using a polymer stamp, I stamp with my Stazon, I clean it with the cleaner, and then I clean it again with my regular cleaning solution, which is just a little mild detergent with a little bit of glycerin and water mixed up. So, Stazon, get the cleaner. I always recommend getting the re-inkers. If you can do it, when you buy ink, get your re-inker right away too. Okay, so let's get on with other things we're going to be using. We'll also be using Memento ink. I'm using that to stamp on the inside of the card. I could use the Stazon since I've got it out. I had it out already, but quite frankly, I don't want to deal with it on my stamps. So I'm stamping on the inside with the Memento. We'll need some Tombow glue. We'll need Stampin Dimensionals. We'll be using a Dragonfly Dreams bundle. We're using this Dragonfly stamp. On the inside, we're going to stamp "To a Wonderful Friend" and then "Enjoy Your Special Day." Those are two separate stamps. And then from the dies, we're going to use this this open Dragonfly die. We're using our Moroccan cardstock. This stuff is so pretty. It's 12 by 12 and it's double-sided. Some of the prints are really kind of wild tile prints, and the other ones are more sedate. So I just love this paper. Let's see. You can put that aside. I don't need that. We'll need Very Vanilla cardstock. That's our card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. You'll need a piece of the gold foil paper, big enough to stamp and cut your dragonfly out of. Let's see, I think this is, how big is this? 3.5 by 3-inch piece. We have a bunch of different black cardstocks. We've got 4 1/4 by 4. This is basic black cardstock. We have another piece that's 2 1/4. That would be this one. 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. We have one that's 1 3/4 by 4, and another piece that's 1.5 by 1 inch. Don't worry about writing all this down. I'll have this all down below in the description. which I always do for you guys. Then we need some of the Moroccan designer paper, and this piece is 5 by 3 3/4. We need another piece that's 2 by 2 1/2, and another piece that's 1 1/2 by 3 3/4. So the first thing, oh, and we need our Stampin Dimensionals. I popped up these pieces right here. So the first thing we're going to do is stamp the Dragonfly. So let's put the card aside here, and we'll get our piece of gold foil out. And I have my Dragonfly stamp on this humongous block. It's not the ideal size to use. Oh, another thing with the Stazon, it has a little plastic thing like this that says do not discard. Do not discard this, because you're going to want to put this over top. And if you're used to using Stampin Up pads, this is a little bit different pad. It's a little firmer, so you have to use more pressure when you're inking your stamp up. So I'll get that inked up. Also, when you're working on coated papers like this gold foil, there is a tendency for your stamp to slide. So be aware of that, and just take a little extra care. And press that down real good. And when I say this ink is sticky, it's sticky in more ways than one. It sticks to stuff when it's dry, and it sticks to stuff when you're stamping. So we'll peel that off, and it was a terrible impression. So unfortunately you can't turn this over, so I am going to recommend that you have enough to try a second time, because this does take some practice using this ink and stamping, additionally stamping on foil. Luckily I have a good one right here, so we'll use that one. But first I'm going to clean my stamp. The cleaner has like a little foam sponge here, and I don't know what's in it, but it's like greasy. Maybe because this is a solvent ink. You know, you've heard of dye inks, and you've heard of pigment inks, but this Stazon is a solvent ink. That's why you need the special cleaner for this. And let me get that cleaned off. We don't want this to stick around. I'll finish cleaning this later, but for now I just want to get that ink off of there. Let's see, there's a fairly clean spot. Let's get that. Okay, so put that aside. Alright. Now, because you're using the gold foil paper and the Stazon ink, you do need to allow yourself some drying time. Let me show you. I don't know if this is dried yet, but let me put my finger on it. Oh, it is dry already. But that's okay. I thought it was going to come up, so you have to be careful you don't smudge it. You're going to need to set it aside, let it dry for a few minutes. So let me get my good impression here. Okay. And we'll bring the die cutting machine in. I don't usually subject you guys to watching me die cut stuff. but in this case, it's probably a good thing to watch. Okay, so I have my Cuddle Bug. You want to use your A plate, your B plate, and your C plate. I like to put a piece of scrap paper down. It just makes my plate that I cut on to last a little bit longer. And we'll put that down on there, and then we're going to put this die right on top, and you want to be able to see your stamped image in the little window. And I've got some masking tape right here. I always have this stuff around. It's my destickified masking tape. You just take the masking tape and stick it on your clothes, you know, depending on how linty your clothes are. Oh, I should probably have the handle facing me. Stick it on your clothes and it'll pick up lint and it will make it not quite so sticky. So we're going to run that through and run that back. If you've got the Big Shot and the magnetic platform, then probably you don't need this tape, but I don't. Let's get that out. Did it do good? Yes, there we go. And there's our little dragonfly we're going to use on top. Let's take that off and save my masking tape. I'll use that until it falls apart. So let's get rid of this stuff because we don't need it. We don't need this. I can put that aside. Back in its little niche in my shelving behind me here. Okay, so we've got our dragonfly, and let's start putting the card together. Next thing I'm going to do, I'll stamp the inside. We can get all the ink out of the way. Now I've got my two sentiments. I have both of them. There was room for both of them on this block. I have them all lined up, I think, the way I want them. So we'll ink those up. And sort of towards the top, centered side to side, and straight down, and straight up. Perfect. So that's our stamping is done. Let's start putting these things together. I've got all this, all these pieces that need to be layered. You see on the back here, this a very sedate. It's in grays and it's got a little bit of, I don't know, a gold color. I think it's Delightful Dijon. And then this is the side we're using though. We're going to be wild and crazy on this card. Use all the bright stuff. So we'll put these two together and you'll have about 1/8 of an inch showing all the way around. That makes a nice little black frame. There we go. That's what I like about Tombow. You've got a little bit of time that you can adjust. Okay, now we'll take the long piece here, and we're using this side. Although the other side's pretty too. I think it might have been a little much on this background we used here. Put that together. There we go. Let's put that aside, and our last piece, and we're using this side. And look at this side. Wow. It's all like kind of like tile work looking. patterns. Okay, and we'll put that down. And again, you got about 1/8 of an inch all the way around showing on that. And we need to adjust a little bit. Alright. Now, these two pieces are going to be popped up. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap these two right now with the Tombow glue. And I can see it's not quite halfway where I'm going to put my glue. So I'll put that line down first so I don't forget and get crazy and do the whole back. And I want to have about the same amount showing on these 3 sides. So we'll stick that down like that. Get our dimensionals out. Oop. I'm going to be using quite a few of these. I don't know what that is. It was something sticky. Probably some other from some other project, and it got stuck on the back here. Okay, and I think probably one more in the center there somewhere. Okay, so we'll take all the papers off of these, give them a little poke so they come up easier. And peel those off. You could use those Moroccan designer series paper to make your own color combinations too. This is just the one that I fancied, so I had a good time laying all the papers out and deciding which ones I wanted to use. So pretty. This paper is so nice. Okay, now we're going to try to get it so there's an equal amount all the way around here when we set this down. So let's see, right about there. Looks good. Now, if you wanted to, you could skip this little black piece and just have your dragonfly on there. But I think that one little extra rectangle of black, it goes with the rectangle theme here, but it sets the dragonfly off. I think you'd get lost in all these patterns if we didn't have a little something there. Okay, so we put that down right about here. I want that to overlap the edge. And then our dragonfly, we'll just tilt his wings up just a smidge. You could pop the dragonfly up too if you want. I didn't. Just put a little Tombow glue on there. On the body only. And we'll position him right diagonal across that. Little black rectangle. Okay, so that's all set. I'm going to Tombow the back here, and we'll attach that to our card base. And there's just an 1/8 of an inch of the very vanilla showing all around the edge. And there we go. Our card's finished. So I hope you liked this video. If you'd like to see more, then be sure to hit the subscribe button below. If you'd like to shop with me, you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website. So, y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.